For most of human history, intelligence has been really expensive. And just as of over the past few weeks, that has become free. That breaks our economic system. My degree from Harvard and from Harvard Business School, I don't think is worth anything anymore.
Is this something that made you angry?
I'm not mad. I'm terrified. But the final emotion I have is excitement. When we discovered agriculture, human population expanded 1,000-fold. For the last 2,000 years, intelligence has been limiting us. And now it isn't. Now you can. You can have that level of intelligence to you less than the coffee you probably had this morning.
Today with me is Nick Jain from Eagle Rock. He is a CFO. And Nick, my opening question to you is, you've been to all the fancy places. You've got all the right degrees. And yet all the stuff that you heard was not working for you. So tell me, was it that it was all about money, or was it that it was all about too much woo-woo? How did you end up where you are right now?
Sure, yeah. Look, as you said, I went to all the fancy places, did my MBA at Harvard, worked at places like McKinsey, really good places to start off your career and learn things. But two things didn't sit right with me, I think. Number one is those businesses are established. They have their models. They are not, most of them are not focusing on innovating or doing new things. And that's normal with any large business. That's true with Pepsi, right? They've been selling more or less the same drink for the last 100 years. And I say this while drinking a Pepsi can. The second is, I think, particularly in the age of AI, a fundamental change is going to happen that hasn't happened for humanity in several hundred years. And I wanted to be at the forefront of that. So kind of number one, I wanted to do something innovative. And number two is I think AI finally created the opportunity to go do that in a very effective way. It is kind of why I've ended up trying to launch my own thing over the last few months rather than continue to climb the corporate ladder, which, I was doing well at.
So take me sort of through this. And I want to set a little bit here off the stage for you. So when you came and we did our initial conversation about the podcast and you being here, you said that intuition and spirituality, it's all kind of good, but that's not going to really help you with some of the real important stuff. So I brought you here because we talk about spirituality and strategy. So today we're going to be a little bit more heavier on the strategy. So what is the strategy that you are using now, or was there a breakdown in the strategy as you had been handed to that made you take a hard turn? And what is that turn?
Let me just pop back to spirituality for a second. I'm a very spiritual person in my personal life, right? I have core sets of values that have been passed on to me by my grandparents and my parents that I hold very deep to me. That is how I run my internal world, right? What goes on in my heart and my head and my soul. But in running a business, I think you have to let a little bit of that go to the side and think about what matters, what can you measure, what can you prove. And I think really the biggest thing that has changed is, or broken down in your words, is for most of human history, intelligence has been really expensive. We relied on the geniuses, the Einsteins, the Miltons, the poets, the scientists, the religious leaders to come up with these great ideas. And just as of over the past few weeks, that has become free now. These technologies have advanced to the point where intelligence is free. And that breaks our economic system. Our entire economic system for most of the last 2,000 years has been based on intelligence encapsulated in someone's brain, whether that be a priest, whether that be a scientist, an artist, encapsulated in their head, and them charging society for creating value through the intelligence in their head. That's no longer a thing. And that really makes you think about, hey, the entire basic premise of our society, of our capitalist society, was on basically charging people for intelligence and knowledge. And that doesn't matter anymore. Makes you think about where we're headed.
So was this something that made you angry when you saw that the current model, let's just call it what it is. The current model as it is puts the power and the information in the hands of 1%, maybe 5% of America or the world. And then these people are the keeper of this information. They make a lot of money because they have this information. And then they decide how much information you get or can access, or what sort of the value propositions, how much you pay them and how much you get. Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yes, but you said does it make me angry? So I'm one of those people, right? I did all the fancy degrees, worked at all these places, right? My degree from Harvard and from Harvard Business School, I don't think is worth anything anymore in the age of AI. 20 years ago, it was a path to success and probably is for many people, but I don't think it matters anymore. And I'm not mad about that. I think that's a really good thing for the world, especially as someone who came from very humble beginnings, right? Like my grandparents grew up in colonial India. I was raised by a single grandmother, like people who didn't have that privilege. So I'm not mad that all this work that I put in over the last 20, 30 years of my life, I don't think is worth very much anymore. I am terrified about what it means for me having being able to provide for my family and pay rent and all those things. I'm terrified, but I'm not mad. But the final emotion I have is excitement, right? When fundamental constraints about how you live your life, either as an individual or as a society, change, it unlocks amazing things. And the best analogy I can draw is if you roll back the clock 6,000 years or 10,000 years ago when we were all hunting and gathering. Food was the limiting resource. The day we discovered agriculture, human population expanded 1,000-fold. We started forming cities and great ideas because food wasn't limiting us. For the last 2,000 years, intelligence has been limiting us, and now it isn't. So I'm very excited about the possibilities that this future holds.
So take me through your wake up moment, though, because I think, in the show we always talk about this transformational moment, and many times it's a rock bottom moment, a spiritual awakening that then comes and gives you the realization to lead into the strategy. But it's not what happened to you. It's almost like you had this almost logical recognition of something was shifting. Can you tell us what exactly was shifting? Like, what did you recognize?
Sure. There were two separate moments. One is a logical one, and one is an emotional or spiritual one. So about 2 or 3 years ago, when AI was coming out, or all the first generation of AI tools were coming out, I realized like, hey, I can just work way faster, and I can do things that I couldn't do before. So, for example, I always wanted to build an app. I always wanted to build a simple CRM app, a customer relationship management app. But I'm a mediocre programmer, and it would take months of work to do, right? And all of a sudden, I can do this in like 2 or 3 days. So that was number one. Or write 1,000 blog posts that were really well written. We did this at my last company. We wrote 1,000 amazing blog posts that started driving lots of traffic to our website. That would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it that quality, and we did it in, I don't know, like $1,000. And most of that was the person's time to run ChatGPT. So that was number one. That something has changed in what we can do. And then about a month or two ago, I had a much more, using your word, spiritual revelation. It's not about just what we could do or how cheaply we could do it. It's, hey, this AI is smarter than me now. It's smarter than me with all my degrees and all my education. That was a very kind of, it shook me, but not in a negative way, that, hey, all of a sudden we have this amazing intelligence available to us that's going to charge us a few cents a day. Doesn't that mean something dramatic for society? And I don't know what exactly caused that. The first revelation was just doing work way faster. The second revelation, which happened a few weeks ago, was just almost just a moment, like a spark lit up that, hey, the world has changed. I don't know exactly where it's headed, but it has changed in a way that people don't appreciate. We're all worried about losing our jobs and AI replacing us. That's all terrifying. I agree. But something bigger has happened.
So that leads me sort of to this question that there is almost a curiosity that you have that I don't see very often. Most of the time when something new happens, people are very worried, they're scared, they try to go back to the old days. It's almost like they're losing control. Why are you not worried about that? What makes you excited about it and not worried?
Well, I am worried too, right? Just a big news piece came out about 2 weeks ago that the CEO of one of the biggest tech companies laid off 40% of his workforce because he's going to replace them with AI. So that terrifies me because, again, as someone who's invested 20 or 30 years into education and working at these elite institutions, all of that doesn't matter anymore. So the last 30 years of my life it gives me no advantage over the 12-year-old or the 16-year-old or the 18-year-old, right? So that's terrifying and scary from an economic point of view. And firstly, thank you for the I should say, for calling me curious. The reason I'm excited is kind of twofold. I have a belief that whatever the world throws at you, you got to survive, right? I grew up in an immigrant household that, they had all the disadvantages you could imagine, language barriers and funny accents, and ate funny food, and didn't have the network and social connections or degrees, but you just persist. And look, AI is out. Whether I like it or not, or whether I'm terrified and it's going to take away the jobs that I've done for the past 20 or 30 years, it doesn't matter because it's out. I can't control that. So all I can do very pragmatically is adapt to the world we live in. Just like, God forbid, if there is a meteor coming at the earth tomorrow and it's going to kill us all, I can't change that. So I would pray to whatever God I believe in and spend whatever time with family. You make do with the resources and the world you have and the world you live in. And that's something that's very deep to my sense of self.
So now that you are showcasing, it's almost like you have this pragmatic approach to say, there's something happening, I might as well get in front of this instead and learning about it instead of being behind it and worrying. So now that you set up your own company, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit more, but what do you see from your perspective, for our show, for our audience? Where are business owners now in an advantage, and what are some of the things that they cannot afford to do or cannot afford to not do?
I think practically for business owners, there's a few things that I noticed. Number one is you can access intelligence now through these AI tools that would normally have cost you $500,000 a year of hiring a world-class consultant or a CEO from a Fortune 1000 company. You can have that level of intelligence and effort working for you for a few dollars a month. That's number one, right? So if you were a business owner running a $300,000 revenue business, you could never afford $1 million CEO to come just give you advice. Now you can, and it costs you less than the coffee you probably had this morning, right? Less than the coffee I wanted to have because it was $5. So that's number one, that advice, good advice, not crappy advice, but good advice is now accessible, elite level advice. And then in terms of what you can and can't afford to do, well, you can't afford to not take advantage of that advice because your competitors are, right? If you're running, let's say, a law firm and you're still doing the exact same way as stuff you were doing a year ago, okay, your next door neighbor who's the same age as you might be doing the same thing, but there's some person who just started a company, they could be young, they could be old, that's starting a law firm that is going to offer the exact same services you do for 1/10 the price. Or they're going to offer the same price but much higher quality services. And they're going to run you out of business. So you can't afford to ignore the changes coming to your business because your competitors are leveraging these technologies to not have a 5% difference, but to have a 100% difference or 500% difference in price or quality. And that's something your customers will notice.
How do I keep my emotional state logical? Because it sounds to me, that's actually a really good question, if I might be just proud of myself here. But I think that there's an emotional aspect to what we are all experiencing. So there's excitement. AI is very, very powerful. We certainly have information that we wouldn't have otherwise. AI also hallucinates. It also makes up stuff consistently. And the amount of input of mediocre prompts has also made AI to a large extent very mediocre. And so now you have to get better at it. So how do you manage all of this to get this quality that you're talking about? Because personally, and I'm just going to share as an example. So I started with ChatGPT, a long time ago. And in the beginning, I felt that the output was amazing. And then I could tell over these versions now to, at the time of the recording, we're in version 5.4, is that the output is becoming very bullet point and very predictable and very boring and very AI, big words, it's like AI internet marketing language, and it's driving me absolutely nuts. What do you do?
Well, so you've observed a real phenomenon because when AI came out, there were two things true about it. Number one, they were giving away the best of the AI for free. that was really expensive. So they started dumbing down the AI because it was cheaper to give you dumb AI than smart AI. Because they're giving ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic, they're giving you free chats, right? That's expensive for them. They're spending billions of dollars a year just giving you free stuff. And they had to dumb it down a little bit. That's number one. Number two is exactly what you said, the training, right? As more mediocre people or more mediocre chats are used in training, there's a reversion to the mean where the average quality of what the AI thinks is good decreases. So that what you've observed about quality is a real phenomenon. And there's three ways that you get around that you actually get good output. Number one is you actually build a system around AI. And that's what's called AI engineering. You have to think a lot about feedback loops. You have to think about iteration models. You have to think about multi-agent architectures and orchestration. It gets very technical. That's the kind of AI engineering side. That's difficult for the majority of people who are non-technical to do. So we'll set that aside. The second is on prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is a skill you can learn. There's free courses on it. I've personally taken 3 or 4 courses on how to become a better prompt engineer. And you can actually get better quality writing out. So it's not the buzzy, big words, sounds fancy. In today's evolving landscape, which is half the AI blogs I've seen always start with, in today's competitive landscape or something like that.
Oh, here's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's more than it's all this comparison stuff that drives me absolutely nuts. Not everything is a comparison.
I agree. And I guess the third thing is, so number one is the AI engineering. That's a little bit technical. Number two is the prompt engineering. And number three is iteration. So one thing that I think a lot of people could do just within chatbots without using any fancier AI or opening up a coding tool is ask the AI these simple words. Are you sure? Right? And if you ask, this is causing the AI to check its own work. And turns out these AI tools are really good the first time they can make up stuff, but when you ask them to check their own work, they get way better. And you can do that for quality too. Act like a world-class writer. You can tell it to act like T.S. Eliot or act like Virginia Woolf and tell it to embody that style of writing or act like a Harvard professor or a 7-year-old kid. And so you can actually change the tone and style of the writing either by telling it to act like someone else that you want to emulate or by teaching it how to write in your writing. So in our world, because this is what we do professionally, number one, we've done a bunch of technical AI engineering. Number two, we do a lot of prompt engineering. And number three, we have programmed in modes for what we define quality to be. So the AI understands whether it's giving out a good quality response or not before I ever even see it.
I like this a lot. So now I want to shift gears a little bit. So now you're this well-educated, well-performing, very successful person. You have this moment of realization that you need to do something different. What was the thing that you realized where you go, I'm going out on my own? Was it that you just saw the opportunity at that level and you were so confident? And how can we give our audience this kind of confidence that you have?
I don't know if I'm confident, right? Every new venture has a high chance of failure due to it could be a bad business idea, it could be bad execution, wrong place, wrong time. There could be a competitor who does it better. So I don't want to be overstate confidence, right? Because I'm terrified and scared that I'm going to fail every single day, every single night. I have nightmares about it. But what made me want to take this bet was two things. Number one is for those who are just showing up in white collar professional services 9 to 5, whether it be a year from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, these new technologies are going to change their jobs or get rid of their jobs. I don't want to be surprised when that happens to me, right? I want to be master of my own destiny. That's number one. Number two is I saw an actual business opportunity specifically for small businesses. So as I was saying earlier, a small business could never pay $1 million CEO to help him or her out, even as an advisor part-time, right? This technology has now made that economically feasible. And I said, look, there's all these small businesses that would love to have great advice. They can't afford it historically. And I couldn't afford to give it to them because I would need to charge them $500 an hour and they can't afford to pay that. And I can't do this for $20 an hour and feed my family either. Today, I found an arbitrage where they can effectively pay me about $40 an hour from their perspective, but it's about $1,000 an hour from my perspective. So everyone wins. And that's really cool. And so I saw this business opportunity, and we have found it a really cool market to go after.
So let's talk about your business a little bit. So tell me about Eagle Rock.
Sure. So Eagle Rock is an AI technology firm, and what it really focuses on is taking work that smart human beings do at large companies and offering that as an AI powered service to small companies. So take what a $1 billion company does and instead make it available to a $5 million revenue company because we're using AI to do 90% of the work. Our first line of business that we launched about 2 or 3 months ago is focusing on the CFO office. A good CFO, there's a bunch of accounting and cash stuff they do, but a really good CFO does is they're thinking about the business, how to make it better. They're thinking, hey, we could cut this cost, or we could enter this new line of business, or we could change our pricing, or de-risk this business. And a lot of small businesses that are kind of mid-sized business. They may have a great CEO or COO. They're busy running the day. They're not thinking about how to make the business better. And that's what our technology does. It looks at your entire business and says, hey, you can save $300,000 a year by cutting these costs. Or hey, here's another way to make another 5% revenue without doing a lot of work. Or hey, you can de-risk your business by doing this. And that's, again, the type of great advice they would love to get from $1 million a year CFO. And we can instead offer that for a few $1,000s.
So an ideal client then is somebody who would be at what type of revenue? I mean, I'm looking at my husband who runs a renewable energy business. And we lost our home in the Pacific Palisades, and now there are 7,000 homes that are being rebuilt in the Palisades and 7,000 homes that are being rebuilt in the Pasadena-Altadena area where the other massive fire was. So we know that if we do the math here, we know that a lot of these buildings already had solar and renewable energy before, and so insurance will, as they're rebuilding, these things have to be rebuilt. And we know that California is a state where there are very stringent renewable energy mandates. So we make assumptions that there is going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity. And we've seen this at the end of last year, even though with tax credit and all kinds of stuff. But there's so much that goes into it. But we have the job, the materials that go for the job. We have our frontline crew, we have our office, we have the load that we're dealing with. So how does somebody like this profit from somebody like you?
Sure. So if you've already done all the thinking and analysis about what makes your business work and what the risks are and how you can grow it, you don't need somebody like me or our technology, right? Because you've already done all the work. If instead you have a business, it's running, and you want somebody to optimize it and be kind of watching your back and looking at all the numbers and saying, hey, here's how you or your husband can make your business more profitable because you don't have time to do it because you're just worried about running the business day to day. That's where someone like me or our technology or in general CFO advisory tends to be really valuable. It's like when you're running day to day a business, but you don't have time to step back and think about how to make your business better. Then you typically want to use either a person or technology who will do that for you.
So then your ideal client is somebody who is in the messy middle right now?
So we offer right now we offer two lines of business. One is where you actually kind of meet with me or my business partner or our employees to talk about your business. And we charge $3,500 a month for that. And you're typically paying for about 12 months. So for that product, I think, or that service, we think a business typically needs to be between $5 to $50 million of revenue for that to be worth them paying for it. We recently launched a software only version where you're not chatting with me. So you don't have to pay for my time to schedule a meeting and show up to a meeting. And that we offer for $500 a month. And that we've specifically tried to make it affordable for someone who's running that kind of 500,000 or $1 million business. So, because it only costs them $6,000 a year and hopefully should save them somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000 a year in operating costs or better revenue. So we think that's a really good value proposition. You pay us $6,000, we make you $50,000 to $100,000. And that's a good value proposition for kind of these smaller businesses.
Yeah, and I want to point out that, while we typically don't go in so much detail about how the business is set up, but in your particular case, I wanted really the audience to hear how you are arriving at these ideas or these pricing models and the calculation, because again, we talked about that you come at this while you have high spiritual principles, but you believe in data. So why do I need to know all of this data? Like, what is it about it? I mean, is it not enough if I can send my receipts to a bookkeeper and then the bookkeeper enters and they reconcile it, and then I go to my tax accountant, I file my taxes, and I'm good? Why do I need more than that? Explain it to us.
So bookkeeping and taxes are important, to be clear, right? You need to have, that's like data entry. Putting numbers into a spreadsheet is important. But that's really just cataloging what happened in the past. Did you go to the gym yesterday or not? That's interesting, but does it tell you anything? No, what you want to know is, hey, should I go to the gym 3 times a week over the next month? Should I go to it 5 times a week? You want to make a plan to make yourself better off in the future. And that's where analysis comes in. And let's take this back to your question about my pricing. The reason we pick these price points, $3,500 a month or $500 a month, is saying, look, we would love to be able to go to our clients and say, each year, whatever you're paying us, we're making you somewhere between 10 to 20 times that money back. Because that's a really easy value proposition for everyone to be happy about. Us to be happy because we're making money, and you to be happy because for every $1,000 you pay us, you're making $20,000 for yourself. The reason why these sorts of services are valuable is because they help you make your business better tomorrow. Same reason that you would hire, let's say, a gym trainer, right? A gym trainer doesn't really care what exercise you did yesterday or last week. That's like, they help you do the exercises today and tomorrow to be better next week.
I like this. I like this a lot. It's a way to calculate this in a win-win type of scenario. So, what's the future look like for you? What are you aiming for? Are you using future forward planning in as much as a detail as you planned everything up until this moment?
Well, I don't know if I planned anything up until this
Gotta
moment,
ask. I
right?
mean, I got a logical strategic guy on my show. I gotta
I've
ask these
had,
questions.
arcs to my life. I've had a general plan that I would go to college and get a job and then get a graduate degree, right? I had general plans, but not specifically that I wanted to work at this company for this many years or anything like that. So the plan right now is I think we have built an amazing type of service or technology, whatever buzzword you want to use. So number one, I think we built a product that creates value for a real group of people. Number two, we think we're out there selling it and growing our customer base, which is amazing because we're already profitable despite being 2 months in. Um, Number three is, as I said, Eagle Rock, our CFO services are kind of our first line of business because we realize that financial advice is something a lot of people would love to have, or a lot of business owners would love to have, but they can't afford anybody good, right? Because good people charge you a lot of money.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars, yes.
Yeah, that like the hourly billing rate for an effective world-class CFO or CEO is between $300 to $1,000 an hour. All right. And if they're going to do the minimum to understand your company, they'll have to spend 20 hours just to understand what you do and read through your data before they even start giving you advice. So they're going to charge you, what is it? $300 times 30 hours is $9,000 before they get started, right? And they should, because that's what their time is worth. I think our next expansions tend to either be into recruiting or into marketing technologies, where we think there's also an opportunity to not only lower the cost of these services, but raise the quality of services people are getting.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that really what I'm hearing here, Nick, is that you encouraging people, instead of running around being worried about what's going away, to look at the tools that are coming out and then thinking about where the opportunities are in the future. And that I appreciate very much, which is why we're having this conversation, is that yes, people will be losing their jobs. And yes, a lot of the research stuff, as the AI gets more reliable, I think, and we get some of this hallucination under control, or the parameters or the agents are better contained, we will get more reliable stuff that will release and let people go. But then what I'm hearing from you is almost a contradictory statement that with all this technology, all the strategy, and all the logic, that is your creativity.
I don't know if it's my creativity per se, but it is definitely the way the world is headed. That yes, a lot of traditional opportunities or jobs or career paths will be destroyed, but because the cost of intelligence has dropped so low now, new economic models will arise and new kind of markets will arise that just didn't make sense a year ago, right? It didn't make sense to offer somebody elite level financial advisory services for $20 an hour. That was not affordable for the service provider. today it is.
I love that. So, Nick, for somebody who is interested in hiring you, finding more about your services, where do we send them?
Sure. So our website is eaglerockcfo.com. We offer a free version of our software, by the way, that anybody can sign up. Takes 3 clicks and it'll analyze your business for free forever. So eaglerockcfo.com. On the website is also our contact information, such as our LinkedIn, email, etc. So people should feel free to reach out to me or book time on me or my business partners' calendars.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. So I appreciate you being here and letting me drill you a little bit on sort of the logical aspects of things. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And that is it for us for today. So I hope you're taking some important pieces away from this, that technology, while it might appear a little bit scary at times, is something that when you look at it from really an opportunistic perspective, which we as entrepreneurs really need to do. There is plenty of stuff that you may not have thought about that might be the future of your business. So the message today is don't hold on to what's not working right now, but see how you can take what is evolving and making that work for the future of your business. And with that, I say goodbye and thank you. That's it for this episode of the Business Growth Architect Show, Founders of the Future. If you're done playing small and ready to build the future on your terms, subscribe, share, and help us reach more trailblazers like you. And if you're serious about creating, growing, and scaling a business that's aligned with who you are, schedule your Uncovery session at uncoverysession.com. Lead with vision. Move with purpose. Create your future.